Hey, Manib. Just wanted to go over um, Winslow Gardens and Heather Gardens again. Heather Gardens right here. I know you're familiar with these areas. You put a lot of offers in there. So I've gotten a couple offers recently. I shot this video a couple weeks ago where we're getting offers out. This one is a few days ago, but I didn't respond to them because we were at that 185 mark. I can't sell these properties at 185. Let me go through this again. So maybe I wasn't clear on this last one. So on these in Heather's Gardens and Winslow Gardens, it's really easy to comp these. So if you're in that square footage range, just go to the solds and go to the very bottom of the solds. So we're at 185. That typically isn't going to investor as retail stuff. We need to be kind of in this 170s or 160s or even 150 range. So depending on the view, if it's looking at a parking lot, we want to be in that 50, 55 range or 60 range. If we're looking at the greenery, if we're looking at a courtyard or we're looking at um, a golf course or something like that, then we can move it up to the 170s range. So, and how you look at the views is that you're looking at the view right there. And right there you can see it's not a parking lot. That's going outside to a green area. They don't do a very good job of showing that. They should do that because that's what differentiates the price points on these. Here we go. So it's kind of facing the street. So this one, we'd probably want to be in that 160 range, right? If it's looking down to just concrete, then we probably want to be in that low 160, 155 range. If we're if we're looking at a golf course, we can be in that 170 range. Okay, so let's just look at a couple more here. So anytime you pull up anything in Heather's Gardens or Winslow Gardens, this is how you're going to comp it. You just put in the square footage, go to the very lowest part of the solds, and then you're looking at um, really the view is it. It's all you really need to see here. So like this one, that's a pretty decent view of that window, but we're looking at the view of the balcony. So right here, this is facing a courtyard. So we could buy that one at 171. That would be a great deal for us. Um, let's see this 155. See what that was looking at. So they're not even showing a view here. Actually, it's looking at courtyard. That's actually a pretty decent deal. So one at 155. So again, we want to be we're never going to be in if we're in this square footage range, we're never going to be in the 180s. We're going to be in the 170s or the 160s or the 155s. And I'll leave that judgment up to you if it's a nice view and you're in the 170s or high 160s, totally fine with that. If we're looking at parking lots, we definitely want to be in these 160s to 155. And so that applies to just really two areas of town is this Winslow Garden area that you're pretty familiar with. Put a lot of offers out in there. And this Heather's Gardens area right here. Okay, they're both retirement communities, and we can comp those by just looking at the low solds and looking at the views. That's it. You don't need to do you don't need to look at fixed up comps in those areas because it doesn't really help a whole lot. And let me explain why. Um, so sorry if this is going to get a little lengthy, but I want to make sure you understand this. So here's why we don't look at, let me see here. Here's why we don't really look at too many of the solds in there. Because in here, these probably have a very high days on market. Usually I'm using an ARV of around 230 on these to sell these. I'm not using 255 or 246. I just never do because most investors will be in this range right here because that's what's selling. This is not very many are selling in that price point. There's just a ton of inventory in there. Inventory is actives. So we've got a ton of actives in there. And so there's a lot of price points in this higher sold area. So when I'm trying to sell these to investors, they're just not going to consider these because there's so much going on there. They're in here. If you got a totally fixed up property and you're trying to sell it at this mark here, we'll have a much better shot of getting that done. So hopefully that makes sense. So let me just go into this. So we're looking at the low solds. That's it. Put in your square footage range. Look at all the solds. Go down here, see what's going on. One more time just to recap. If it's looking at a parking lot, we're in this range. If we're looking at some greenery, we're probably in this range for our offer price. Okay. So I don't want you to spend a lot of time in these areas. They're kind of tough to sell. They're hard to pick up at those price ranges. But that's where we need to be to make it work. So if you're in either one of those and you're making an offer in these 180 ranges, there's nothing I can do with it. So I won't even try to sell it because I know I can't. I already know what the investors want in Denver. So hopefully that is making sense to you. Please reply to me that you understand what I'm talking about here with these two areas on this. Of course, everything else that you do, continue to comp it out to the properties, but in these two neighborhoods, these two complexes, just look at the low solds because they're all cookie cutters, they're all the same. We already know we need to be in this range, and that just makes it easier for you, makes it easier for me. We're getting the right offer prices out. So you want to be offering with views in this 170 to 165 range, and you want to be offering if they're looking at parking lots in this range. So maybe I didn't explain the views very well. If you're not quite understanding what I'm talking about with views, hit me back. I'm happy to go through it again. I want to make sure you get this right. So that way I'm not dealing with offers that are just not going to sell and that they're not going to work. So anyways, I hope you're doing well and we'll get this straightened out.